Some Formula One moments are so iconic that they live on long past the weekend. With the internet, it has become easier than ever to record, copy, and share these moments with the world. From Charles Leclerc's childhood interview to Toto Wolff's temper tantrums, there are some hilarious clips online. So don't go anywhere as we dive into some of the most memorable F1 moments that have become memes. First up, Toto Wolff in Brazil. At the Brazilian Grand Prix last year, Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff made himself into a meme with his characteristic passion. Going into the weekend, Max Verstappen had a 19-point lead over Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton hadn't won a race in 3 Grands Prix and needed one badly. Unfortunately for Mercedes, the weekend didn't get off to a great start. After qualifying in P1, Hamilton was disqualified after his rear wing failed a regulation test following the session. That put him at the back of the grid for the sprint qualifying session the next day, but he breezed through the field to finish in P5. For the race the next day, he once again put on a masterclass and with a brand new engine went from P10 to win the race. It was one of Hamilton's best drives, and Toto Wolff had a message after the race. As Hamilton passed his championship rival Max Verstappen for the lead, Wolff was shown on TV pointing and yelling at the camera. The Mercedes boss was so passionate because of what he saw as unfair decisions against them throughout the weekend. After the race, he said, "I've always been very diplomatic in how I discuss things, but diplomacy has ended today." Wolff was angry about Verstappen's aggressive driving failing to attract a penalty despite pushing Hamilton off the track, and Toto pointing at the camera has since become a meme. Now, incident. The footage for this meme comes from 10 years ago, but in the last couple of years, it has gained a lot of attention. It was the WSK Euro Series of karting, and a young Charles Leclerc was battling with Max Verstappen. Even back then, when Charles was just 14 years old, they were already going head-to-head. In a story that Leclerc has since expanded on, the two were at the front before Verstappen got the better of Leclerc and sent him to the middle of the pack. Then, after the checkered flag, Leclerc went back for revenge and ended up pushing Verstappen through a deep puddle. Amazingly, there is a video of 2 short interviews after that happened. It starts with Max, who says that it was unfair what Charles did. Then, in what is now one of F1's most famous memes, Charles is asked about what happened and says, "Nothing, just a racing incident." His matter-of-fact response, combined with his funny pronunciation of the word incident, makes it a classic. The prospect of these two fighting for the championship this year makes this video even more relevant. But hopefully there aren't too many more incidents and we get some clean hard racing. Next, question time. F1 drivers have to answer questions all the time. Half of their job is to sit in press conferences and talk to journalists in between races. Normally these questions are similar and predictable, but in 2014 one question was asked by a German journalist that now has a special place in F1 meme culture. It was during the 2014 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix press conference, and it was full of stars. Hamilton, Rosberg, Alonso, Vettel, and Button were there, and they all listened carefully as the question was put to them. But as time went on, they couldn't help but smile. The question started with monkeys driving cars and ended more than a minute later asking the drivers their opinion on how many buttons there are on the steering wheel. Even the beginning of the question has become a meme that starts with, "Gentlemen, a short view back to the past." It has gone down as one of the funniest moments in an F1 press conference ever. Coming up, how did fans make the Miami Grand Prix into a meme? And what are the origins of the Valtteri Bottas interview meme? So don't go anywhere. The next one is one of the most recent on the list. When the Miami Grand Prix was announced, there were some big expectations. The city that is famous for sun, beaches, and partying was finally getting a Formula One race. Some of the things promised came through, like the entertainment with DJs and VIP areas. But other things like a marina with yachts turned out to be a little different. The organizers actually put a fake marina, which was a painted surface and tinfoil to give the appearance of water. And in true Formula One style, the fans mocked it relentlessly. There were memes of Daniel Ricciardo doing the Red Bull Monaco victory dive into the fake marina and drivers swimming in it. But at the end of the day, the biggest complaint about the Grand Prix came from the drivers about the actual track surface, which wasn't grippy enough and didn't allow for overtaking. Maybe they should have faked the entire circuit. Lockdown was hard on all of us. During the peak of COVID-19, a lot of us were confined to our houses and had our lives turned upside down, and even Formula One drivers couldn't escape it. That's why in 2020, many of them started streaming themselves playing the F1 video game and competing with one another. Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, and Charles Leclerc all competed in sim racing events that gave fans something to watch. But while streaming, Charles Leclerc went the extra mile for his fans. That's why he even put a banana suit on in one of his streams. There he was, one of the most talented drivers in the world and the future of Ferrari, dressed up like a banana. Charles couldn't help but laugh at himself. He said, "I've never looked so good." It was refreshing to see the lighter side of F1 while there were not many races to watch. But this This year, it's been back to business and not much to laugh about for Leclerc, who is trying to catch up to Verstappen in the championship. Maybe the banana suit was the secret. Would it fit inside the cockpit? When Nico Rosberg retired after his World Championship win in 2016, Mercedes were looking for the perfect wingman for Lewis Hamilton. The team wanted to avoid the kind of bitter rivalry that had developed between Hamilton and Rosberg, and Valtteri Bottas was the perfect man for the job. Throughout his 5 years with the team, Bottas played a supporting role for 4 of Hamilton's titles. Despite expressing his desire to race and compete, he was given team orders a number of times to either stay behind Hamilton or to let him pass. And by 2021, Bottas was clearly fed up. That's why an interview at the Italian Grand Prix from last year has become a meme. It was a post-race interview after he had placed in P3. In the same race, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen had collided and both retired from the race. David Coulthard asked Bottas what he thought of the crash and told him to look behind him at the replay. After a quick glance, Bottas turned around and said, "It's unfortunate," with a cheeky smile. The footage instantly became a meme, and it seemed to sum up his time with Mercedes. In fact, the Mercedes Twitter account even had a Photoshop challenge for their fans to give their most creative responses. If you hang around F1 Twitter or F1 Instagram, you are bound to see some of these from time to time. Now Toto's headphones. There's something about Toto Wolff that is just very memeable. Once again, it's the Austrian Mercedes man in a moment that has been spread far and wide on the internet. This time, he wasn't yelling at the camera, but he was still yelling. It was at the 2021 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and the penultimate round of the championship. It was lap 37 of the race, and Hamilton attempted to overtake Verstappen on the first corner. Verstappen braked late and closed him off, but the only problem was that it was so late that he had to bail out of the corner too. For that, Verstappen was instructed by his team to give back the place strategically. The Red Bull then slowed down and braked suddenly, causing Hamilton to fly into the back of him. And predictably, Toto wasn't happy. He smashed his headphones into the table in anger. It's a good thing that Mercedes were sponsored by Bose, because it wasn't his first time doing that either. 5 laps, Hamilton overtook his rival, and in combination with a 5-second penalty to Verstappen, he comfortably won the race. It set up a last race shootout with the 2 drivers on equal points. We all know how that ended, especially Toto Wolff. Which meme was your favorite from the list? And did we miss any? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.